terms of technical viability, I think the equipment needed for my post-production processes, probably going to need, well, I can start this way, crew members and stuff like that. Crew members that I'm going to need, I'm going to have 2 presenters, 1 male and 1 female, which I talked about before. I think it's going to be myself and Harpreet. I think, you know, it's 2 strong characters, basically be able to present it in a way which is clear and, you know, precise, and I think that'd be good for us. And also we have the whole balance as well. We'll be needing students, various students, you know, of stuff, various different, you know, products we're going to have to do. Probably need to use some form of, you know, teacher/professional help. So we've got Mr. Phillips and Miss Seven. We've got voiceovers. Again, I think it'll be quite logical to have it with myself and the person who's doing the presenting. In terms of directing, equipment needed for my production, I think it's cameras, tripods, tapes, lighting, casts and presenters, red headset. I think this is all more or less the average of the norm. I think that's what everybody that will maybe make a production of this type have to use anyway. Equipment needed for my post-production, you know, this is basically the editing part of it. There's the Apple Macs where we have to do all the editing, and probably DVDs to burn it onto, and tapes as well. And that's just a few things that we're going to need for our the actual technical side of producing our actual production. Practical viability. So basically, I've sort of been looking into the actual practicalness of actually producing this production. There'll be 2 main feature guests who I would like to take part in my production, and that would be Michael Eves, that's the Toyota dealership manager from Woodford, Boris Johnson, which is a bit ambitious, but I think we'll try our best at it, and if not, we'll try and go for the second best, and you know, we just carry on. And we'll also be looking at an energy efficient car vehicle owner. I think it's brilliant to get a perspective of the actual owner, and hopefully somebody that's a bit more younger. We don't want some old, you know, pensioner driving around, hybrids, but we'll try and get some a bit younger. Where will I find them? Michael Eves, I can be contacted at the dealership. Mr. Johnson is Guildhall, I believe that's where he sits. And contacts for both have been made. I'm currently discussing/confirming arrangements. Boris Johnson, I've sent off an email to him. I've actually received an email back, and they wanted dates, and they said that depending on the dates, they'll let me know if it's a yes or a no. So let's see what happens with that. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, in touch with all that. So hopefully we'll have something with that. Where will this feature be shot? The features with Toyota will be filmed at their garage. Features with Mr. Johnson are currently not confirmed. We'll have to sort of, you know, I don't know if it'll be at his office, or I guess I'm just going to leave that on his side of the court for him to discuss. In-town shots and we're also going to have just after a bit of research and stuff, I thought it'd be a good idea to have go to town and just get a few shots of just the types of energy efficient cars that are around, that are actually in the high street driving around. Legal and regulatory considerations which I need to have. Basically, the BBC has an editorial guidelines which I basically have to conform to if I'm producing a production that's going to be on their channels. So it will affect me in the ways that this will mean that I'll have to regulate all my features of my production in order to comply with the BBC regulations and BBC guidelines. So I'm going to have to, you know, make sure everything is down to the P with their regulations, because the type of sort of production company which I'm going to be doing this alongside, which is BBC, is very strict on this, I think. So we're going to have to make sure that we're just, you know, complying with all their regulations. Ofcom regulations. Really, Ofcom is like a regulatory sort of board. You know, it basically all sort of programs and radio shows are basically all regulated by the Ofcom. Basically, it all goes down to, you know, the whole. Basically, really, Ofcom regulation will not apply to me, as my program will not actually incorporate any sponsorship or fairness or privacy acts. A lot of the type of interview which I'm going to be getting is going to be quite open information that will be openly out on the market. I'm not really having any sponsors, and to say the truth, there's not really an issue which I'm going to be commentating on, which I'll need to take into account fairness for. So I believe that really Ofcom regulations aren't really going to apply to me. but I think, you know, we are going to still take into context anything that they might have, and we'll try and stick to anything that we need to take into consideration. Copyright. A lot of my production is going to involve third-party involvement. This will mean that I must seek consent on any information that I gather from these third parties, as it is vital to ensure that I comply with copyright laws. So basically, yeah, it's basically what I just said. That, you know, I'll have to make sure that any, you know, archive footage which I will be using, you know, is, you know, has full permission from the, you know, the proprietor of the actual production or whatever I'm using from the third party, and, you know, just make sure that I'm not using anything that's not mine. And that's it really. Basically, commercial viability. I mean, this is basically looking into the whole idea of my market and all that. So basically, the male and female, aged between 16 to 24. You know, basically it's an open-minded discussion. This is how I'm going to appeal to them, because we're going to have a sort of open-minded discussion, allowing integration of both genders to, you know, sort of integrate. Competitors will include Top Gear, Fifth Gear, and there's quite a few other ones as well. But you know, basically, my budget will have to include stuff like, you know, transport, locations. I may have to pay for interviews as well. However, I'm not too sure about the whole interviews, what's going on with that at the moment. Distribution will be aired on the BBC, 9 PM showing after the watershed. Although saying that, I don't think we're going to have anything that we're going to actually need to, you know, actually look into as far as the watershed goes, because I think it's quite a safe program as far as that goes. But you know, it's still after 9 o'clock, so that allows us to do a lot more in terms of the type of content which we have in our production. And now looking at questions.